Honoring your Black Moon Lilith energy is how you are going to connect with your higher self. Okay, let me tell you why. The Black Moon Lilith energy in our chart is just this inner bitch waiting to come out, waiting to get what she wants when she wants it. She's gonna get it. All right, you can't stand in her way. It's on her time. It is on her schedule. It is when she wants to get it done. She is the king of her own kingdom. All right, and that is why when you connect with that energy, you are going to be connecting with your own crown. Okay. Now, the legend and myth of Lilith is not a love and light one. Okay, it's not. It's dark. And so before we get into a darker myth, I want you guys to remember that legends and myths are talked about for years and years and years and told in many different ways. So it's not about what the story is and what every little detail went down. It's about the knowledge and the symbolism of that story. So let's get into the story. So Lilith is Adam's first wife. All right, this is the wife before Eve. They were both created from the dirt, from the same thing, from the same element, from the same ground. So Lilith looked at them as the same. She refused to submit to Adam. She wanted to be equal. Sometimes she wanted to dominate. She wanted to be the one on top. She wanted to be the one to lead. She wanted to express herself in that way. But of course, Adam was like, nope, you're banished from the Garden of Eden because you don't want to submit to me. And 3 angels were sent to hopefully, bring Lilith back and get her to change her mind. And she refused. And so these angels threatened her. They said, if you fail to comply, 1,000 of your babies are going to be, unalive. And Lilith didn't comply. She was like, I'm not going to submit. You're not going to make me do something I don't want to do. Now, in some stories, people say Lilith got involved with the devil. And if you've ever watched Sabrina on Netflix, you'll see that myth there. And you'll notice too that in that, universe, Lilith had the rib of Adam in her body. All right, Adam and her were tied in that way. She had a rib of Adam's. And so she was the same as Adam. Adam was the same as her. But it's interesting how Lilith is the one that gets demonized and associated with demons when she is the exact same thing as Adam, made from the exact same thing. So that in itself, there's a lot of symbolism there. And so Lilith actually came back and slept with Adam, okay, after he was already with Eve. And so there is a theme of revenge in this story as well, and adultery in the story as well. There is this theme of like, where is it now too far? And so much just happened there. So much has happened there. Now, Lilith in astrology. Let's get into that, right? There are a couple types of Lilith in astrology. There's the Black Moon Lilith, which is what we are talking about specifically. And this is the point along the moon's orbit. It's not an asteroid. It's not a planet. This is also known as the dark moon. And it's also known as like the dark side of our moon sign. Another type would be Lilith the asteroid. And then there's true Lilith. But like I said, for this video, we are focusing on Black Moon Lilith. And so Lilith in astrology, where what sign your Lilith is in and what house it sits in and the planets that surround it can, maybe tell an astrologer about these themes that are connected to Lilith, which I'll talk about now. So Lilith is this inner bad bitch in us that is going to fulfill her desires. And in that in being that type of character, Lilith gets shunned and rejected. She is forced to conform. Otherwise, she gets pushed out. So there's like an abuse of power here. And so those are the types of things we can see in your natal chart where Lilith is. This could be an area in life where you were shunned or where you were rejected and where you weren't able to fulfill a desire you had. There could have been some type of abuse of power here. And you know, some of you, Lilith is not a really big obvious energy. It's a subconscious energy. And especially if you don't have any like personal planets talking to Lilith in your chart, connecting with Lilith in your chart, you might not really feel this energy, this darker side of the moon. Okay, so keep that in mind. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you don't have a Lilith, and that doesn't mean that there's no inner bad bitch to unlock. There still is one. But let's keep going with some of the themes that are connected to Lilith and astrology. And so Lilith is, like I said, also connected to revenge. Okay, how do you behave when you don't get your way in things? Okay, she's connected to sexual repression as well, because like she wasn't able to, you know, dominate when she wanted to dominate. For example, she's tied to freedom and accepting your fate, you know, in order to have that freedom, accepting the fact that, you know, she was going to, you know, something was going to happen to her babies if she didn't comply. She accepted that fate. And she's also highly connected to the dark side of the mother because of that. But that could be an entirely different video on its own. I do have a video about motherhood and astrology. Check out my old page for that if you're interested. But yeah, Lilith is also connected to pent up energy, pent up desires, pent up anger, pent up power. And those types of things, when you keep them pent up, they just grow. They get worse. You need to liberate them in a healthy way. You need to give them a place to go in a healthy way. Everybody's got some pent up, you know, dark side to them that it's going to be at different degrees. And I don't know what that is. I don't care to know, but I do want to say that you better find yourself a healthy way to channel that energy so that way it doesn't come out in more unhealthy, you know, dangerous ways. And so Lilith also can be the hidden traits of us that we don't want people to know as well. So usually, you know, if you're going to bring up Lilith with a client, be mindful that they could be uncomfortable talking about that and someone else knowing about that side of them. So be gentle when discussing this with people. But Lilith is also about independence as well. On a shadow degree, it is that manipulation, it is that selfishness, it is that taking things too far. It's getting bitchy, it's getting nasty, it's overly sexualizing yourself and losing yourself in that process. It is other people sexualizing you and the negative energies that can come with that. That's all shadow energy of Lilith as well. So Lilith, it depending on where it is in your chart, can, you know, make you a very like sexual object, even though you're not trying to be. It's just there's this energy there, and men will be drawn to it. An example of someone who has this is Marilyn Monroe. She had Lilith on her ascendant, and think of her story. And so that energy can be very strong depending on where it is and what planets are interacting with it. Or it can be very like, you know, unnoticeable. Another example, someone who has Lilith conjunct the North Node. Throughout your lifetime, you're going to be experiencing these Lilith themes of having to like maybe break out to be yourself, having to release a lot of pent up like karma within the own self. It's like you have the biggest karma with your own self. And so being aware of this energy and knowing this energy is going to show you, one, how you can snap out of your shadow sides and not let, you know, the shadow sides of Lilith subconsciously manifest, because this is a subconscious energy. It's connected to the moon. And so being aware of this will allow the shadow side stuff to not sneak up on you so much. So I, for example, have Lilith in my 3rd house, and I definitely had like really snappy, bitchy speech. Okay, in the past, I could end you, all right, with just my words alone. And I would do that on accident. I didn't know it. This was subconscious. Sometimes I'd just be critiquing. Sometimes I'd be just sharing my opinion. And all of a sudden I really hurt somebody's feelings, or I said something that was too mean, or like I just am being really judgy and critical and a bitch. You know what I mean? And so being able to connect with that, it allowed me to watch for it more. And thus you have power over it now. And Lilith also can show you maybe where you need to honor your desires and stop rejecting yourself, stop shunning yourself, and let yourself have it. That's what Lilith is all about. That bitch lets herself have whatever she wants. And so where Lilith is in your chart, I think that's where you need to have whatever you want. Okay? We're working with shadow energy here as we're working with Lilith. And the thing is, if you want to be whole, you need to also accept your shadow. You need to also embrace your shadow sides, your dark sides. That is part of you. So if you want to be whole, embrace your shadow sides, embrace your dark sides, learn to use them in an empowering way, learn to give them a healthy outlet, or learn to be like, that's fucking me. That's just me, and that's who I am. Whatever it is that your journey is, as long as you are not harming yourself or another, that's fine with me. But the thing with Lilith energy is it can get fucking dark. It can, especially in certain signs, especially if it's connecting with certain planets. This is dark. Lilith does not know limits. Okay? And I'm going to be getting into what Lilith means for each zodiac sign, starting with Lilith in Virgo, because it's one of the darker ones, and it's what my Lilith is in. So we're going to talk about that. Because just because you have a dark Lilith placement doesn't mean you are an evil, demonic bitch. You know what I mean? No. But there is a darkness in you that you better learn how to work with. And when you learn how to work with that, it just unlocks this type of power and freedom and control that you were trying to seek out of everybody else. You finally have it in you. You finally have it in you and over your own self. You finally have autonomy over your own self. You don't need to go out there seeking it in other people. And that's why I think that connecting with Black Moon Lilith is how you unlock your high value self, because Lilith is going to get what she wants and what she desires, and she doesn't give a fuck about she doesn't care about it. That is an attitude we need to be somewhat connected to in a balanced way. If we want to connect with our high value self, we need to see our own value, and we need to give ourselves accordingly, give ourselves whatever it is accordingly. And so another reason why honoring Black Moon Lilith is going to help you unlock your bad bitch self is that you're no longer going to be out of control. You won't be out of, and you won't be trying to seek control anymore. You'll have it inside. And that's so freaking important if you are a woman in business. You need to have a sense of inner security, inner toughness, inner control, and inner power. All right. And so Lilith kind of helps you unlock that. And I had a point where I really was in a Lilith chapter where I was being so rebellious, doing whatever I wanted, not caring about the consequences. I was 19 and wilding out, and that isn't the answer either. You don't just let Lilith run fully wild. That's chaos. Lilith is chaos and darkness and selfish energy sometimes. And so you need to tap into the more light sides of it. Everything in astrology, it's got a positive and a negative, and it is up to you, the person who is a conscious human being. It's up to you how you embody that. Which one do you embody? That is on you. But if you embody these lighter, more empowering sides of Lilith, okay, like knowing your worth, like going out there and getting what you want, getting what you deserve, and like letting yourself be, expressive however you want to be expressive, even if another person doesn't like it. That is a really big lesson of this Lilith energy. Is sometimes people tell you to dim your shit, not because it's bad, but because it's beneficial for them. You need to not shine as bright, not because it's bad that you're shining bright, but because it's bad for me. Because if you are shining that bright, then all of a sudden I need to work harder. And that is like Lilith's, one of the lessons that comes from this theme of Lilith. And so know where you're supposed to shine bright. Try to use this energy in a positive way, and I will be helping you with that on Patreon. So check out my link down below. Every day from here on out for the next 12 days, we're going to be discussing your Lilith sign and house sign in depth, and I'm going to talk to you about some lessons that come with that and how that's going to help you unlock your inner bad bitch, your high value self, and how you can claim your power, claim a bit more control over yourself, knowing this about yourself. So check out my Patreon link down below and sign up for the Occult Club. And we will be talking about your Lilith there. I'm going to be starting off with Virgo, like I said, because this is such an interesting placement for Lilith, because Virgo is the Virgin and Lilith is, the rebel. She's like a sexual queen. And so this kind of energy it mixes interestingly, and I think it kind of surprises people, and it's my placement. So that's why we're gonna start with it. And then I would also love if you guys commented down below and told me what your Lilith is in, because if there's a lot of you here with a certain Lilith, then that video might be next. I'm also kind of leaning into Lilith and Sagittarius because my partner has that, and so I'd love to research their work as well, or their chart as well. So I have a feeling that might be video number 2, but we'll see. I'll catch you guys on Patreon. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.